Actually, when I was born, my mother got kicked out of nursing school because she was marrying my father. That was 1960. 1959, I guess, is the year they met. And then we went to live in a very small town in Scotland with a group of people that had green eyes and red hair. And I didn't look like these people. And before I was 5, I had my name changed several times, each time to a more Anglo-sounding name. And it was very important that I be not Indian. I was reminded how to act, and how to act meant acting not Indian. I had my hair cut very short, and we would eat Indian food, but only late at night. When everybody was in bed, my father, and that's one of my earliest memories around food, which was when my father would cook late at night. He'd open up all the doors and windows, and we'd eat curry. Sometimes we'd get out of bed, and we'd be eating dal and chapatis, and late at night, all the time. I think in many ways my father thought that he was helping. He thought that I looked white, I could look white, and he was going to help me. Just make sure that I got along in the world and wouldn't be seen as an Indian girl. The only problem was, within the family that I was growing up in, they very much did see me as an Indian girl. And so I was being taught to hate being Indian and to try to be like them as much as possible, except they were racist. They didn't like us. They thought we were packies. They would tell packy jokes at the dinner table. And those are my very early memories around this family.
The lottery. Great topic. Okay?
Despite their different heritage and support for their Asian background, Kimiko and Kay had similar experiences explaining their identities.
I was born with the name Kimberly Denise Hota, and it was a name, when I was growing up, people always referred to me as Kim. It was a name that I didn't really identify with. Kimberly is a Gaelic name, Denise is a French name. I didn't feel very much that really reflected who I was. And when I was very young, I remember my mother saying to me that she wished that she had known more Japanese names when she named me, because she would have liked to have given me at least a Japanese middle name. And I asked her, well, what kinds of names? And she listed a bunch of them off, and when she said Kimiko, which was so close to Kim, I said, well, that's a beautiful name. Why didn't you give me that name? And she said to me, well, you can change it if you want to. And I was tempted, but at that age, I think I was 6 or 7 or, fairly young, I just thought that would be such an audacious thing to do. I thought it was okay if I was playing games with my friends and referred to myself as Kimiko, but to actually change the name that my parents gave me, I didn't feel that I could do that. When I finally did change my name was I went overseas to school in Switzerland, and I just enrolled as Kimiko. And so it was really from the age of 18 that I started to go by that name. But it wasn't until I finished university that I legally changed my name. And I feel really, really good about having done that. My grandparents changed their names. They had beautiful Japanese names. My grandmother was Yoshiko Nakamura, and my grandfather was Takashi Hotta. But they changed their names to George and Rosie. So I just felt there's some justice in changing my name back to being Japanese.
I live in one community where my children were different shades, really, varying between my color and my husband's color. And so there were communities where, for example, my daughter was treated not as well as she could have been treated because they thought that she was very dark, and there were children that she had been playing with that were told that they couldn't play with her because she was not white.
While race continues to be an issue for children of mixed race, growing up in an ever-increasing multicultural society has allowed today's children to explore their minority heritage at an earlier stage.
I went to Dunbar Junior Public School when I was little, and I think that's probably the first time that I realized that I was different from most of my classmates, because I was different from them because most of them are white. And I think I felt that difference more than my brothers did, probably because especially Daniel was in a more multiracial school. But I remember when I was there feeling different from everyone else. I remember occasionally getting called Packy in the school ground, in the schoolyard, or things like that. And I remember one time when I was little, coming home from school, and I think it was after I'd been to somebody's house for lunch, and I said to my mom, you know, why do we eat curry? Because I realized that, you know, my friends didn't eat curry. And she said, well, it's because your dad's Indian. And I said, oh, I guess that means we're half Indian, half normal. And that became like a really big family joke and gets retold at every family party we ever go to. So that's that was the way I saw it when I was little, that normal was the white side and the Indian was, I guess, abnormal, or the different side.
And when she said that, I thought, first of all, it was hilariously funny. And I wondered if she conceived of herself as half Indian and half normal, what that left my husband. But I also wondered what kind of a society we were in, or maybe what I wasn't explaining to her, that she thought normal was Canadian and not normal was the Indian side. But about a year later, when we were driving in the car, my husband and I, Miriam said to us, what's a Paki? So I explained to her that it was someone from Pakistan. Then I thought, I wonder why she asked me that. So she said somebody had called her Paki in the schoolyard. And I said to her at the time, gave her sort of the politically correct answer of that just means it's somebody from Pakistan and that child probably didn't mean to hurt your feelings, etc. But she said, at least I have a grandmother that makes curry and rice, and most poor kids have to eat roast beef all the time. So that's also gone into the annals of family stories that are told and retold at family gatherings.
I think that's been mostly my view of being mixed race.
I've always liked the Indian side of my family, and I've always been interested in India, even though I've never been there. I was born in Scarborough, lived here all my life, haven't even been out of North America, but I always wanted to go to India, so India inspires me to do this kind of art. I'm different from my brother's experience because he's like the average Canadian person. He watches hockey, plays hockey and stuff like that, so he doesn't really feel different, but I don't have the same taste as most Canadians, so I think that I'm different from him because I'm not like the average Canadian person, but I'm still Canadian in my identity, though, because I'm still very Canadian.
I think that when I was in school, I was always involved in sports, and so I always fit in, and I never felt like I was different from the rest of my peers. And so, in that sense, I fit in a lot better with my, more popular with the people in my elementary school. And my elementary school wasn't also as ethnically diverse as my brother's was, so it was more important for me to fit in. And once I fit in by playing athletics, then I never really felt like I was a minority. I always felt like I was Canadian who watches hockey and plays street hockey with his friends in the wintertime with the Maple Leafs toque on. So when I got to high school, it was the same thing, and I never really felt like I was different until I think I was 17 years old, and I went to pick up a girl to go to the library with her or something. And I was standing in the hallway where her father couldn't see me, and he asked her, where are you going? And she said, I'm going out with Matthew. And he said, you're going out with that nigger again. He's going to get you killed. I see that kind of thing on TV. Or it was something to that effect. But I remember he called me a nigger. And I was just so completely shocked that I just walked out of the house, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think, because for the first time in my life, somebody had made me feel like I wasn't part of society. I was different, and not different in a way that made me special or valued, but different in a way that made me lesser value, a lesser person. So that was the first time in my life that I'd actually felt any kind of racism. But all in all, I've always fit in.
Yeah. Okay. All right.